This is Muhammad Azimuddin. I am like in charge of ISSS job-oriented course. First of all, I would like to thank Almighty for giving us this opportunity to conduct such a great program um to serve the community. ISSS Islamic Social Services Society Hyderabad. It is a well-known organization and which is working in Hyderabad since last 40 years. It is the most oldest NGO working for the society in Hyderabad, and it does many things like it does like social activities, whenever relief work, and to uplift the poor people. It does a lot of activities in the social services. Okay. So apart from that, one of the activity that is the Skills Academy. Skills Academy means like the work courses toward the job employment. So Alhamdulillah, we got the initiative in the December, and we come up with the like a package of courses. We started on the 2nd December, and we started like 3 months job oriented course, a package of six different courses. We started with computer hardware, and then computer networking, then Microsoft Server administration, then Cisco certified network administration, and the fourth, and then in parallelly, we have like daily classes of English communication, and the sixth one, this is the AWS and the Azure extension. So, Alhamdulillah, I would like to congrats all the students who regularly attended these classes and took the benefits from all the faculty, and they completed. After completion of these five courses so far, so their resume got very heavy, Alhamdulillah, and now they are going to add one more technology, which is the upbringing technology, which will give a lot of weightage in the market. And AWS, what is the AWS? So we will learn from Mr. Faiz. And cloud is, it is the future. See, I'm working in the IT industry. It's been one decade. In the last 10 years I'm working, but I can see that if no one if you don't know the cloud, then you maybe after few years you will be vanished from the IT industry. So that's the important the cloud is. So that's why we added the cloud essential into this course. And when I started whom the faculty and all, so I found a very good faculty, that is Mr. Faiz. So Mr. Faiz Hazi, I work with him in Dubai, and we have done a lot of good project in Dubai with the same organization. And I'm glad that since past few years he totally moved into, like, he has very vast experience of the infrastructure. He has done like all the networking, servers, Oracle, storage, all the projects, wireless, and the security project. So all the infrastructure knowledge he has. And and this is that is the and last few years I have seen him, he moved to completely into cloud. And cloud is nothing but whatever you see in the infrastructure, everything it is a cloud. So now, and I found him he worked very hard. And the many people they do a courses or something, but I found it is his passion. And he in today's busy life, he wrote a very big book, around 400 plus book of AWS. So that is the very and he created the book for whom? For you guys, the people who are very essential. They are very new for the AWS. So how to start, how to click that, how to which button need to be clicked. So he gave the spoon feeding in that book. If you refer his book, then you will become AWS champ very soon, inshallah. So that's why we bought him, and this course we are starting today, 8 February, and it will be our last course of this job oriented course. We will learn from Mr. Faiz for next 3 weeks. So please, and guys, cloud, it is, I will tell you, cloud, it is a sea. Like if we take the cloud classes for next 1 year, then still we cannot say that we completed. So that's why we are starting today. And like at least the base level, essential level, you must be understand. So please follow him, attend the classes very regularly, and follow the instruction, follow the group. Mr. Faiz, he's very good in the documentation, and he's very good in the providing the task. So he will assign you a task, and he will like post daily basis some study material. So just follow him. Don't just look and lose that, because he do a lot of research every day, and he's share the knowledge with you guys. So please follow him. Whatever he attend the class regularly, whatever he give the task, please complete that task. So you will be having a lot of benefit from this. So after 3 months, like as we met in our inauguration program, after 3 months I would like to see your resume with very heavy technology. So inshallah that will and definitely you will be having weightage into the market. So with that agenda, we started. So I would like to thanks again Mr. Faiz Qazi for giving us the opportunity and accepting us this role for next 3 months, 3 weeks. So Mr. Faiz, welcome from IEEE, and over to you.
Assalamu alaikum. Hope I am audible.
Yeah.
Yes, yes, sir.
Yes, yes, sir.
Uh, so, just not losing much time because we have only 1 hour for the day. So let's quickly start to this thing. My screen is visible to everybody, right?
Yes, sir.
So today's agenda actually, as Nadeem explained, this is a part of a skill development thing, and most of the what Nadeem briefed me, that most of the school participants attending today are freshers. They are new to the technology, and they have learned to the skill development program. They have learned some skills on networking and other stuffs. And today we will be starting a new chapter on cloud. So this is a 15 days session, 1 hour each, Monday to Friday. Friday, the timing may differ, then I will inform that in advance. Okay. And today's session, each day we'll have some agenda, right? So I've just posted, I posted a week's agenda in the WhatsApp group, but today's agenda will be on discussion on traditional infrastructure architecture and introduction to cloud. And tomorrow we'll learn cloud computing in detail. So meeting decorum, right? Yeah, please mute your microphone. Okay, unmute yourself whenever required. I like to be very interactive. So you have any doubts related to topic, do unmute yourself, and instead of chat, do unmute yourself and have your doubts raised. Okay, and do not hesitate to speak up, because as you speak up, you'll gain more confidence, and you will be clear with your doubts and everything. So try to attend the complete course as Nadeem explained, and be punctual, and make full use of the assignments that I'll be providing. So I'm just Nadeem has given a brief about me. Most of the things are covered. So this is what most of all 15 plus experience, global experience, working as a consultant freelancer, and now I am a founder of my own startup, i5 Solutions Private Limited, based in Mumbai. So what's there for you in this course? Okay, so I'll be explaining you the concepts, what the from right from the infrastructure background, a little bit of development background, and what is required, what is the base cloud concepts I'll be explaining you. I'll be having some part of hands-on labs in the I'll be explaining you. I'll be going through the course with hands-on labs, and I'll provide you links and resources that will help you to learn more about cloud. So just to most of all, I'll be using multiple resources during my this thing. So please bear with me. So to start off, right, as lots of you guys are freshers, maybe some people may have joined some internship, or maybe looking for jobs and other things. So whenever you join an company, right, so you will go through an orientation program. Okay, the HR, once you're in a company, once your appointment is fixed. So just to remind you, I'm going through this so that I can correlate some things. Why cloud is important. So that's the reason I'm going through some basic steps that will help you out to understand. Okay. So in an when your apartment gets freezed up with any enterprise or any a small medium business or any organization. Okay, so you'll find your HR team will brief you about organization chart. So you will have some organization chart like this. Okay, where they will why they do this, that to make you understand about the company culture, what role is that, what divisions are there, and what role you'll be fitting in to achieve the goals of the company. Okay, so there will be stakeholders. You'll have a CEO for the company, general managers. Then there will be various departments, finance, marketing, and IT department will be there, and so on. Okay. So what's the basic whenever we start anybody like me, if I am starting a business, there will be a vision and there will be idea. Maybe I'll be the owner, maybe I will be the founder or director, maybe I'll be the angel investor investing in some business, and my primary goal will be to make profit. And then comes the reputation and other things. Once I sustain for 4 5 years and my business grows off, then the reputation comes in. But the primary goal why I'll do it is to make profit. And related to that, there will be some appointment of management like CEO, board of members, appointment of team like subject matter experts and employees. So why I showed you this is that whenever we work in an IT environment, right, we are very will be a very small part in this structure. Okay, but related to what we will be doing can impact the business. Okay, suppose if we are handling some exchange email server, or we are handling some Windows server, where or if we are handling networking, where we'll be considering the operation, we'll be taking care of the operation part, and the top management, what he'll be looking for is just an email. On his email should work on his Outlook, or he should be able to communicate, and or he should be able to connect to the internet and so on. Okay, and related to that, there will be lots of equipments that will be managed, like networking. We'll be managing switching, routing. Server side, we'll be handling servers and other things. On if we have a developer, we'll be handling applications. Okay, and other things. So there will be until now there was lots of silos working, like they used to have in an operation team. We used to have an system team. We used to have a network team. We still it is there, but lots of then we used to have a development team looking for the apps and other things. And this this stuffs, equipment, data centers and other things, what it requires is it requires regular recurring expenses. Okay, that can hurt, that if not managed properly, that can hurt the profit of the company. So considering the director of this thing, so when when any director comes in and he needs to see what's going on in the company, so he goes through an document called MIS, Management Information System. Okay, so those it can be a dashboard, or it can be a document that it has to go, and there all the financial and other stuffs will be provided by the managers and other things of each unit, relating what's going on into the company. So to work on those part, right? Earlier, we as a software evolution, we used to use client server technology. Okay, uh, like uh, like your email server. Okay, where your Outlook will be a client sitting on your laptop, and there will be a server where all this email transaction, messaging transaction will be holded on. So your client will be will be connecting to the server for to download the emails and other things. Similarly, we had one the business application called, that is still now, is called ERP, Enterprise Resource Planning. Okay, so many companies, each and every company will have a finance department. So to store the financial, like accounting details and other things, the ERP application will support financial management. It can have any company will have procurement, like we will procure goods or procure equipments, or maintain inventories. That will take care of the supply chain, taken care of the supply chain module of ERP, and manufacturing. And there are lots of project management and CRM, customer relation management, sales, marketing, and other things. So the major ERP solutions currently are Oracle, uh, and there is SAP, and there are lots of others, like you have Odoo open source, you have Zoho, you have Tally for accounting and other things. So what are the target audience, that what ERP will provide? It will provide you finance module, HR module, payroll module, manufacturing, procurement, and modules. Okay, and then we'll have business intelligence, like CRM, like I talked about MIS. So now MIS can be it is a cloud-based application is there, that is known as Salesforce. So it can give you the CRM this thing, and it also known as business intelligence, where all the things will be on a dashboard part. Then we have collaboration tools like email, video conferencing, like we are doing Zoom. It's a video conferencing tool that we will be the cloud drives, are like Google Drive, uh, uh, your OneDrive, and other things are there. And then VPN. Then we have management tools like help desk, event monitoring, log monitoring. When if you want to communicate any incident, right, like in a company, like I need to, my laptop is not working. So the team that responds to it is the help desk team in any company, right? So an incident will be created, and concerned person will come in, and so these are the management tools that can be used. Then considering this part, the ERP part, your data will be stored. Where it will store the database, where it will store the data related to your accounts, or related to anything related to your application, it is stored in databases. So the types of databases are MySQL, Oracle, MS SQL, and so on. Starting those. So discussing about the traditional data center. So in traditional way, no, now I'm coming to the infrastructure part of this thing. I'll just explain you regarding some part of what in a company, if you are in an IT team, so what will be you going through, right? It will be your networking, security, uh, your applications, and so on. So in any data center, uh, so why we require a data center actually? When we store where you have servers and other things. Earlier, companies would store it in a small room, like servers. They will place some servers over there, and they will call that as a data center. Why? What is a data center actually? Where you store the infrastructure and all your other data related to the servers, and this thing are stored on the servers located in the data center. So it can be a normal room. It can be a normal room where and it will have some racks, some where all your servers, physical servers and equipments like cooling, power, cooling equipments, okay, physical server, networking equipments, okay, those will be located into that room. So we call it as a data center. Earlier, uh, in case earlier the thing was that prior to cloud, people used to have even servers and other things were expensive at that time, and communication links were not easily available. It is available currently. So we had companies you have to have a small room, or if it's a very big enterprise, they would take a space and store their servers, store the racks, and store the servers over there. So what normally and what normally a data center will have, what equipments that a data center will have is networking, storage, servers, virtualization, OS, middleware, runtime, data, and application. So I'll just explain you in detail. I'm If I'm going too fast, slow me down because I'm a little bit fast in my speech.
Mr. Faiz, before moving towards cloud, can you please show some picture of the or traditional data centers?
Yeah, I'll explain this part, and I'll show them how is a data center, how it looks. Is it fine?
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Or else I'll have the picture with me. Okay, guys. So you can see over here, this is how a data center looks like. Okay. When I talked about racks, these are the racks. So it's a where all your servers can be holded on. Okay. So your networking components or your server components will be installed over here. Now what you see over here is the cooling unit. So because any electronic equipment dissipates heat, right? Okay. So if you don't have any proper cooling unit and if you assume that you have 50 or 100 servers running in a room without a cooling unit, so what will happen? Because of the heat, the systems may go down. So in a data center, you will have proper cooling unit. You will have a power backup unit. You don't require that you only have one source of power. Okay, you will have multi redundant power backup units will be there, and uh, you will in a big data center you will have this chilled water flow where you can see this part. It's a pore flow. This part is known as floor space. So whenever you talk about data space uh, in an ISP or this thing, they will say what rack space you require. So each floor is a rack space. So normally one rack can consume about 1 to 2 rack space, floor space. And this part because of the chilled water flow, this is known as cold aisle. So whatever heat is dissipated, okay, the this thing is cleared up, and this. So we are clear what is data center now. Any just speak up if I am not clear to you, so I can understand. I can go very slowly also. Are we clear what is data center now? Anybody?
More clear.
Yeah. So I was just assume, because before coming to the this slide, right, just assume, just assume that whenever I take a laptop, right, for my personal use or for a company or this thing, what are the things that I should look for? Whenever I go for a laptop, what specs? Normally, what we do, we read the specification. Okay, it depends on what usage I have. I can be a normal user, like just doing Word or anything. So it can be categorized as standard usage. Okay, uh, if I need a laptop for work usage. Okay, so it can be, it can be um, like I need maybe need to install some applications that will be resource hungry, like it may require lots of processing power or memory power or something. If I'm using gaming, so if so in case, if I'm anybody who has purchased some laptop recently, anybody in the group? Okay,
Yes, sir. What did you say?
anybody in the group has recently purchased a new laptop?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
I installed a one laptop in Windows 10.
Okay. So what do you look for when when you went to purchase a laptop? What did you look for?
So I already have the pen drive set up so on the things. So I just continue again and again. The point is going on. So
Okay.
I follow the instructions.
Okay. So yeah. Can you mute yourself?
Yes, sir.
So whenever we go for a laptop, we look for specification like processor, RAM, form factor. Form factor means, how much small or lightweight it can be. Okay, what will be like processor? If I say I can go for Intel, AMD, like i3, i5, i7. Okay, Intel based. If I'm going for a Macintosh, I can look for the iOS level or M1 chip level or something like that. Okay, and then based on my, if I'm a very standard if I'm very a standard user, like only using my laptop for checking my emails or surfing net or something, I can go for a 2 GB, or I can go for an i3 processor, 2 GB RAM. I can go for a 14-inch LED screen or TFT screen. I can go for 500 GB hard drive or 1 TB hard drive. And depending on if I'm very familiar with Windows, I'll go for an Microsoft Windows 10 operating system. If I want if I'm a work user and I want Linux to be installed, I can go for an go for a DOS version and then install Linux on it. Okay, and then other related apps like a Microsoft app. Okay, and your CD writer app, and many applications that if I want to go gaming, I can go for an i7 processor. Similarly similarly, the thing is that similarly in an organization or in an IT environment, you'll always look for these specs in server environment also. Okay. If you're in networking, so if you're looking for in server environment, you will always look for processor, RAM, form factor. Form factor means whether as I showed you, there is a rack over there. So when you install this thing, you always go for 1U, 2U form factor, 4U means the amount of space that the server will get. Okay? Like if this is a very small unit, it will be 1U, and if it's a bigger unit, it can be 2U or 4U or something like that. So always depend on what operating system and what purpose I'll be using this thing. I'll
So
go.
form
Yeah.
factor, it means that 1U is the unit interference unit.
The form factor means the size, the size of if I say the laptop, how thin it is, what is the weight and this thing. But if I go for server, it can be a small like this is a rack that I'm going to install a server. So if this is a server, this is 1U. Okay. So how smaller the server this thing will be. Okay. And then you have yeah, I'll always look for so in a server environment, either it can be a physical disk, okay, where it will be connected to the server itself, or I can attach this server to a storage device. Okay. So like we go for like we see the specification. Apart from this, I will always check for price. Okay, cost of the this thing, right? So if I go for an i7, but it is costing me 1 lakh, so it's better to go for a Macintosh, Apple this thing instead of going for that. Okay. So similarly, in server environment also, I'll look for processor, RAM. So all this, when I say processor, it is compute. Okay. So in compute, we will talk about processor. We will talk about memory space. Okay. We will talk about storage, and talk about the OS image. I'm clear until now. So these concepts like compute, storage, networking, OS image, you'll be seeing it in the cloud environment also. Okay. So in a traditional environment, right? Like when you say traditional environment, like a normal on-premise data center. Okay. So in a particular this thing, what normally the components that will require networking, will require storage, will require servers, will require virtualization, and will require operating system, will require middleware for our application. Okay, will require runtime. Then whatever data is there related to the application, that will, or generated data will be there, and then the application will talk to your data. So this is what in a traditional environment you'll find out. So when you say networking, what it will be? It will be your switching, it will be your routing, routers and this thing. It will be somewhat your VPN. Okay. And then when you say storage, so as I told you, servers can be either it can be a physical hard drive in your this thing, or it can be a virtual hard drive, or it can be a storage device. So when you talk about storage, you will always see of NAS, network attached storage, and SAN, storage attached network. Okay. When you say about servers, so it depends on the, like Brand wise, you will say HP, Dell, IBM. Okay. Uh, then we will have like tower servers, where when you say tower servers, it will be like this. Nowadays nobody uses tower servers. It will be in just or you will have blade servers. So uh, it can be a single server like this, or it can have a bigger chassis where you will have multiple small servers in it. Okay. So Dell in Oracle also Sun Oracle servers also provide. Then we have virtualization, right? So earlier times, right, we had to have physical server. So in the physical server, what we used to do, we used to install the server. We used to buy the server first, okay, the physical hardware, and then we had to for this server, if in case I am running, I want to run email server, so I require Microsoft OS, whatever version it can be, at okay, like 2012, 2019, or 2016 server, or so on and so on. Then the email application server application like Exchange and so on. Okay, and then we may have antivirus and other things. So these two we had to physically install it onto this server, and then make it connect to the network, and then the users used to connect to it. So this was the earlier stage. Then as the time this thing time as I showed first when I started my career, right, I always saw tower servers. Then it merged to normal lower form unit servers like this, like horizontal this thing. And then we used to have blade servers, something like that. Okay. Similarly, in the OS environment, okay, earlier we used, as I told you, we used to physically through a USB or through a CD-ROM drive, we used to install the OS and other things on the server. Time increased, right? As time flied out, technology things that why need if we have hundred of servers will be difficult. Okay, so they came with an they came with an concept called virtualization. So where we had hypervisor, okay, where on that hypervisor, so what are the types of hypervisor? We have Citrix, Zen hypervisor, and then we may have Red Hat KVM. It's a type of hypervisor. Then we have Microsoft Hyper-V. So have you gone through this? Anyone have you gone through these words in your course or something? Are you aware?
No, sir.
Okay. So and on this hypervisor, we should have a guest OS. So it can be a Windows OS. It can be a it can be an Linux OS. It depend on what is required. And on the top of that, we had our applications installed, like email will be one application, or there will be an application connected to your database. Okay, or help desk, any applications related to your like account application will be there, that will connect to an SQL database. So those applications were stored on top of the guest operating system. So as I told you, virtualization, you will have Citrix, Zen, KVM, Hyper-V, and then Windows. And when you say OS level, it can be Windows, okay, server Windows, and then it can be Linux. It can have Unix. Okay. You can have Mac also. Not on the server version, but on the desktop version, you can have Mac also. Then as I explained to you on the ERP part, right, where enterprise resource planning is an suite of lots of applications. Okay, so to communicate, some applications may have some other dependencies. So uh, they used to have middleware, okay, like common services apart from whatever dependencies are not on the OS. Those dependencies were provided in the middleware, like your database middleware was there. Okay. And still there, your API, application program interface, so connecting your business logic and other. Then you have runtime where your languages used to work on, like Python, Java. Yeah, yeah. Your your voice is not clear. Hello?
My voice is not clear. I'm
Yeah,
not saying
yeah.
anything. I'm just say to this, कि sir, is it same as the OSI model? So
No, OSI model is something different. OSI model, you
yes,
know.
it's something different, but
Yeah,
is there have what 4 layers in this?
Yeah,
Application, data, runtime, and networking.
no, this when you whenever you go whenever if you are if you can you mute yourself. If you join, please do mute yourself.
Yes, yes.
When you go to an on-premise, any if you join any company where they are still going on on-premise data, on-premise setup, right? Infrastructure setup. So this is a part of an infrastructure setup. This is a part of an infrastructure setup. So these are the components in a complete infrastructure setup that I'm explaining to you. So you'll have data, you'll have applications like email, web applications, okay, ERP applications, and so on. So this is what a complete infrastructure setup. Now, what happens is in infrastructure setup, I have an operation team, ops team. Okay, so as I told you earlier, previously we used in silos. Like we had a network team, we had an system team. What system team we used to do? They would take care of your OS patching, okay, your virtualization, your servers, okay, what your storage, what network team used to do, complete networking, switching, routing, WAN, LAN, VPN. They uh, uh, used to take care of it. Okay, security team, right from networking to application, and security team was a security officer was appointed. Okay, to have any to have your data center into locate having those uh, uh, compliance, any kind of security compliance has to manage. The security officer used to take care of that. So am I clear until now?
Yes, sir.
So this is how our data center works. Now, suppose in case in a region, like the users were connecting, they either if they are located in a LAN environment, they would connect it directly to this data center. If they are from a WAN environment, WAN means I'm sitting over here and connecting through my. I have a point-to-point connection to my company. I can do that, or I have a VPN connection uh, uh, to my company. I can use that part, or I can use internet to access my data center if it is web enabled. Okay. So if in case this fails out, what would happen? My I will have an outage, right? My users will not be, my business will not work. or my users um, will not be able to access it. So for to cover that, you know, we used to have another data center in the, either in the distance from this data prime. So we call that primary data center, and the other two we used to have secondary data center, and all the data used to be replicated from the primary to secondary. So now what we use the name is, when we use the term of disaster, so we say disaster recovery. So we have a data center for disaster recovery. In case this fails, all my users will be routed over here. So earlier, having one more data center. So what I will come to the pain points in this in a few while. So in an information age, right? In the hardware information, we started from mainframes. Okay, then like IBM mainframes in 1960s, 70s, and then we shifted to DEC mini computer. Then we have personal computers like P1, P2, P3. Then we have i5 series now, and then we had Microsoft applications like client server technology, like communication with an application with an SQL server, or those applications. Then we had Cisco having IP networks, and then mobile devices were introduced, and then now we are in an era of cloud computing, like Salesforce, Amazon, Google, and so on. Any questions until now? Hi. So, as I explained, if you have seen the data center and other things, right? So, just a second. Nadeem, can I extend this session for 15 minutes? Because we use some speed. Is it possible?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We have a time for 3:30.
Yeah, okay. So, as we said, lots of things that, right, lots of things needs to be managed in an IT infrastructure environment. So what will it take? What are the pain points on-premise this thing? So it will require time and efforts. How, suppose in case my boss comes in and say, I want to install this application, okay, and I want this to run in physical hardware in 2 or 3 days. So if I don't have any physical hardware in place, so what I have to do, I have to go to the vendor and buy it. So uh, it used to take 1 to 2 weeks, or 3 to 4 weeks to deliver it to your premises, and then we used to check whether everything is fine. We used to install all the applications, all the operating system, network setup, and we used to configure it and then hand over to the application team. So almost you can say, if you want in an on-premise setup, okay, in at that time, in that setup, the time and efforts was we had to either have to have one or more admins to do that, or more staff, more operation staff, or the time limit to get it to my data center was, we are using lots of time and efforts. Then, as I told you, I just showed you the data center. It's a floor and rack space, and power and cooling is required. So everything is cost, right? I will. So in normally in an on-premise, as I showed you here, in an on-premise, this can be, this either both data centers, either primary or secondary. Normally, people management had a tendency to keep all this primary data center close to them, because data is important, right? Data is important for an business. Okay, so if something loses out, or no backup is done, or if it is not given, so they normally tend to have it close to their campus, or close to their environment. And this part, disaster recovery part, they used to co-locate it. Either either I could buy a space, rack space from some ISP. Like in India, we have Reliance. Reliance provides rack space. That is known. This term for this is known as co-location. They will have their own data center, but you can also have your. They will give you some space like cooling, power, networking, and then you can install your servers onto the data centers, and they will they'll charge for it. Minimum, there is a nominal charge for it, monthly or per day or per hourly, whatever is it. Okay. So similarly, even if it's an on-premise or co-location, you have to spend for the power and cooling and the staff to maintain it. And whatever you do, right, whatever this thing, you have to pay as a capital expenditure. Like when you say capex, it isn't capital expenditure. Like I have some money, I go to buy a laptop. I'm not getting like in laptop you can get EMIs, right? EMIs. Okay, so here I have to invest that amount of money. Okay, for your yearly cost, this will be a cost for me. I have to if I have to have one more server, I have to spend that amount as a capital expenditure. Okay, so then we have flexibility issues. Flexibility issues means as this two part, right, like data center is close to the campus. This may be within the country or within the same region. Okay, depends on what environment, how the company is, how the data center is maintained. Okay, so suppose my company grows out. Today I'm in India, in Mumbai. Tomorrow I need a similar setup in UAE, a similar setup in Florida. So what will be required? The time will be required. I will not be able to know the space area over there, or I'll have to communicate with the concerned person in those areas to get the similar setup in. Okay, and again the time will be there, so there will be flexibility issues will be there. Okay, then management of those things, then as I told you, recurring expenses will be there, and scalability issues. So if I have a very small room or small this thing, and I have completely exhausted my rack space and everything, what will I have to go? I have to look for another space and set up those things. So there was scalability issues over there. Are we are we fine until now? Okay. So what is cloud computing actually? So cloud computing is the on-demand delivery of compute power, database storage, and applications, and other IT resources via the internet with pay-as-you-go pricing. So as I told you, it is a capex expenditure, right? Here I have an leverage to go with pay-as-you-go. As I use so this cloud computing will be there will be some service providers, okay, where they will have their data centers and they will say, okay, come to you can subscribe to my this thing, and uh, uh, use my compute power, whatever applications you want to build, use my infrastructure on demand, and I pay as you go pricing. So it can be connected through internet. Okay, I can use this on this infrastructure over the internet. So whether you are using to run applications that share photos to millions of mobile users or to support business critical applications. So what cloud compute platform provides? It provides you instant access to flexible IT resources, no major upfront investments, right sizing and scaling of IT resources, and pay as you use. So I don't have to. So in case I have a server where I took a large server for an application, but some of the disk space or some of the memory space is unused. Okay, still as a capital expenditure, I have already bought for it, and I have already paid for it. In cloud, you will have that. If I require only a two core processor or 4-core processor. Okay, and if I require only 1 GB of RAM, so I can buy that much only. If I want more, I'll just add it, and as I use, I'll have to pay. So that is an option. So what cloud provides you is it will provide you performance. It will provide you reliability. Okay, reliability means uh, yeah, if one fails, redundancy will be there, resiliency will be there. Data will be, you can trust them, the service provider, that your data will be safe. You will have scalability, security, maintenance, uptime will be not an issue. Okay, and this will be a service based model. Okay, so these are the key cloud. So when we come to history of our cloud, right, it started in the year 2002. Okay, it's not a new thing. Cloud is not a new thing. Okay, so AWS platform launch, at that time it was not AWS, it was Amazon, and Amazon were selling books, and some part of they were starting the retail business. So they thought that, okay, we want an infrastructure for this thing, and whatever we use at that time, virtualization was was in huge demand. So some developers and some think tankers sat together and say, okay, for the Amazon company, we'll use our data center and we'll make some services for their use. So they launched, some services on 2002, and then they had Amazon S3 simple storage services, so on. Then seeing this, Google was also into data. Okay, so they launched an app engine for application, this thing, at 2008. Then Microsoft also said, okay, we can also because we have all that applications, we have that other stuffs, operating systems and other stuffs are there, so we can also come into the cloud business. So they came into 2010, and we had an open source, this thing called as OpenStack. Okay, then we have IBM came in 2011. Oracle also now, if you see, you'll see in many outlets or many resumes that some people have done OCI. So OCI is nothing but Oracle Cloud Infrastructure. So OCI is nothing but Oracle Cloud Infrastructure. So Oracle also came in. So if you see how many service provider came in the public cloud environment, one is AWS, one is Google, okay, one is Microsoft Azure. So when you talk about infrastructure, okay, when you talk about infrastructure and the global reach of infrastructure, people and top in demand as per the market, it is AWS. Okay, if I am an Microsoft savvy, and I know about Microsoft applications, like not only Exchange, operating system, but I am familiar with SharePoint, I am familiar with SQL services, I'm familiar with many others, and familiar with Active Directory. So people with those backgrounds opt for Microsoft Azure. And if we could talk about data analytics, okay, data science, and having business, having more insights on business intelligence, people go opt for Google platform. ERP solutions, when we talk about ERP solutions, because Oracle ERP is already into cloud, right? Like many business companies are using one or two resource planning solutions for their environment. If it's a small company, they will use only accounting and other part. But as they grow, or it's a big enterprise, they will require many modules like procurement, manufacturing, supply chain, and so those part, Oracle Cloud Infrastructure also. And best part of Oracle is also that they acquired Sun servers. Like Sun servers were in I think so 2013 or 2012 they acquired Sun Technologies. So they have their own servers, Sun Spark servers, and they have their own storage technology, and And there is now a partnership with Azure, where if you have a Microsoft application and if you want to connect it to Oracle, this thing, they have created a partnership to avail that. Am I clear now? No answers?
Yes, sir, you're
So-
clear up to this point.
Okay. So I'll be there are some services. No, I'll be tomorrow in the tomorrow's lecture. I'll be explaining you the characteristics of cloud. Okay, and then deployment models and deployment and the cloud services. So more now, if you see, everything is as a service. Okay, and I think so. As Nazim also explained, in 2 to 3 years time, all your applications, all your whatever functions that we are doing now will be as a software as a service, or as a it will be used as a service only. So any a service provider will provide it, and the company will just acquire those services as per the requirement. So when we talk about services, it will be I will come to this detail tomorrow, but just just to explain you what it is. It is infrastructure as a service, IaaS. This is storage as a service. PaaS is known as platform as a service. Uh, this is database as a service, and this is a new. Now people used to use servers, right? So tomorrow I'll explain. There is a term called serverless. So this is known as function as a service, and this is software as a service. So these are the examples, right? So when you say Amazon, when you say IaaS, it is Elastic Compute Cloud. So Amazon will have it. When you say Microsoft Azure, Microsoft you will have Microsoft Azure, and you have Google Compute Engine, and then OpenStack, Red Hat OpenStack is also there. Then storage as a service, whatever like Dropbox, Google Drive, OneDrive, Amazon S3. Okay, Azure will also have a blob service. Then platform as a service, Amazon Beanstalk will be there. Microsoft Azure is there. And then Google App Engine is there for platform as a service. Then we have database as a service like Oracle Cloud, SQL, DynamoDB powered by AWS. Then function as a service, you will have cloud functions, Azure functions, Google functions. Okay, and then when you say software as a service, you will have Office 365, G Suite, Salesforce, Slack is a collaboration thing you will be taking. There are many more. I have just explained you some of them. Each thing, what is IaaS, what is database, I will explain you detail in tomorrow's session. So anybody is now when you say now, okay, how can I know that who is the leader in the market? So there is an entity known as Gartner, and also there are a few more entities like IDC. Okay, IDC Forrester, where they whatever services or whatever equipments come in, okay, they analyze it, they take the market survey, they take the customer survey, and based on the survey they highlight a particular service or particular product into a leader. So what they do is that they divide this into 4 quadrants. Like they start with visionaries, then niche players, challengers, and then the leaders. So whenever a new application comes in, it is growing its market value and market reach, they come into visionaries, and then when they are established enough, they are shifted to niche players, and then they are shifted to challengers, and then they are shifted to leaders. So this depends on the usage, the market value, how many users or customers are there. So when you see who are the leaders until August 2020 in Gartner, so this magic quadrant is provided by Gartner. So whenever you go into your specific fields like in servers or this thing, it's better to go to review the Gartner report, where you will say, okay, as of 2020 2021, who is the leader in the market. So Amazon, currently Amazon is leading in the market, and followed by Microsoft and Google. Okay. Oracle is also still it is a niche place, but it is soon it will be in the challenges. But Microsoft and Amazon, these three are the top to learn for. Topmost is topmost and very reliable service provider right now for this thing is Amazon. But in as I told you, if you are looking for infrastructure and global reach, go for Amazon. If you are looking for AD and applications, go for Microsoft. If you are looking for data analytics and data, go for Google. So OpenStack is an open source platform powered by Red Hat. Okay. So I'll just because we just 10 minutes more and I will close this session. Okay. The certification path, right? So what are the certification paths for this? So we have cloud practitioner and fundamentals. So if you are a beginner, like you guys are beginners, right? So either you can go for a cloud procedure certification exam, or just like we are doing some understanding of this course, right? So you can just learn about AWS by self-study and by attending some courses. Okay. And know about the fundamentals of cloud. So who has to upload the individuals who develop the knowledge and skills necessary to effectively demonstrate an overall understanding of cloud services. So it can be AWS, Azure, GCP, but topmost it is AWS and followed by Azure. Okay. Then we have SysOps administrator, like we have network administrator, system administrator fields. Okay. We have architect, system architect, design level architect, like in MCSA system. If you are going for an MCSA course, so you will have a system administrator certification. Similarly, we have an cloud administrators are also there. So cloud administrators are responsible to configure cloud management service and manage, monitor the cloud management services and all. Then we have cloud architects, like design level, who are IT specialists who develops a company's compute strategy that incorporates cloud adoption plans, cloud application design, as well as cloud management. Then we have DevOps engineer, introduces processes, tools, and methodologies to balance needs throughout the software development lifecycle, from coding deployment to maintenance. So these are the certification. I will just brief you these parts. So just I have already created one document, okay, which it's already, the link is already in my book. I will also explain you where is it. Okay, so see over here. So I have already mentioned here, it is a 2020 edition. Okay, I have mentioned what is cloud, what is the scope, why you need a scope of it. As per Gartner report, who is the topmost this thing, and what are the top leaders like AWS, Microsoft, Azure, and other parts are there. This is the learning paths. Okay, so learn fundamentals and so on. And regarding the certification program, so who should go for which certification? Okay. So on, and then for Microsoft we have, yeah. Any? Yeah. Now for Microsoft we have Azure fundamentals. These are the certification part from Microsoft Azure. Okay, and these are the certification part for Google platform. So now the question arises, so whether I have to do all this certification. Now normally what's there is you have an foundation level course. Okay, so like in terms of AWS, I will explain you. You have foundation level, you go for cloud of practitioner. Now you because cloud is not only about infrastructure, it is about your applications. It is about it is about serverless. It is about your containerization. It is about the Internet of Things that you hear in the market. It is about artificial intelligence. Okay, so there are lots of things that are there in this thing. So an architect associate or professional, there are lots of I think so there will be 200 more services that, but at a broader level, you should know about every services that, so that uh, uh, because architect is a specialist, right? So today you will not use any particular service, but tomorrow in a design, okay, it has to be fit. Okay, today I'm not using, I'm not using any machine learning tool, or I'm not using any application tool, or I'm not using any artificial intelligence tool, but I may require in the future. So if it's required in the future, this is the place where it can fit in at this time or this thing. So those expert suggestions an architect can give you. So you should have a broad level of understanding. And then operations, operations, cloud administration. I like, if you are a startup, if you gain some experience in networking and system administration, the many companies will offer now, they are already opting for cloud, like office like they are no more using exchange or anything. Many companies are going for office 365. Okay, and even Microsoft is giving some cost benefits to go for office 365. So it will be all collaboration over the internet. Okay, so those operations will now, as I told you about artificial intelligence developer. So developer, there will be, you can go for a developer to develop your applications, and there will be, most of the cloud environment, the current demand, if you have knowledge about infrastructure, network systems, and awareness of your application environment, considering automation. So DevOps is a very currently it has very good demand for, at least for what I see is for 4 to 5 years in cloud. So if somebody new is there, uh, go for have the basics on associate and this thing, and have some information on DevOps also. Okay. And then we have specialty modules, like if I'm a network engineer and I've done architect, so I can opt for advanced networking for cloud, advanced networking or security. If I'm a developer, I can use for machine learning and data analytics and others. So this is how it is clearly explained over here, how you have to, and there is a link also given direct from Amazon and Microsoft Azure. This thing. Any questions until now? So you don't have to do all the certifications, right? I will share this link, this video link with you. Okay. So you don't have to go all the. You should see. If you ask me, I have also attempted for AWS associate architect. Okay. After that, I'm just practicing, because in cloud there are lots of changes, lots of things are coming in. People, first we used to only think about a single cloud or a single cloud architecture or something like that. Now people are asking, why can't we go with multi architecture? Like, why should I be dependent on Microsoft? Why should I be dependent on AWS? So some applications I can store in AWS, some applications I can store in I can use services of Microsoft. So I don't have an single failure in the service provider itself. Okay. So that this YouTube video will give you good examples on those parts. So I'll share this. AWS. If you see, we have a free tier. I'll just 5 minutes more, because I think so 3:30 there is one more lecture for you. So it's okay, right?
Yeah, okay, fine.
Okay. So I'll just brief you what is the free tier part. Okay. So when you go to aws.amazon.com, so what will it will and say, if you say amazon.com and say /free, I'll share this link to you. So you will have AWS free tier over here. So what even Microsoft provides you the same, and Google also provides it. But AWS provides you for 12 months. Okay, and what it gives. Uh, what it gives it is normally it is whatever provisions it gives. If you don't consume, okay, you can still use until it's free. But after that everything is not free, but some most of the things what it has provided. So what it provides, compute it for EC2, it will give you 750 hours free. Storage, it will give 5 GB. Database, it will give, so you can practice, learn. Okay, database, it can give you 25 GB. Machine learning, 2 months. So what currently what we are covering in this course is compute, storage, database, networking. So those part you can practice. Okay, because they are so how to, you have to create an account for that. So yesterday actually I gave one. So I'll be sharing this links over here. Okay, I'll be sharing the free yesterday actually yes, shared you this link. Okay, as well as I have shared one video link where how to um, uh, 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 create a free account. So for that you will require an email ID. Okay, you create an Gmail account, new Gmail account, whatever name you require. Don't forget the password. Okay, and you will require just for an authentication purpose, right? You will require one debit card, because it will authenticate to you. It will take your debit card details, this thing, and
Uh,
yeah,
is
yes,
it
sir.
possible, like, if you can just share that, like, the fields which they need to update and the
It's already
but-
yesterday I have already shared that the prerequisite part. So it's I have, there is a video link over there where they can click and check the video link and follow the steps. Where what do you see? What they have to do? What you have to do is come over here, Amazon. I will share this link. Already I've shared it. I will share this link also. I'll share it in the WhatsApp group. Okay, and just come over here. Say create free account. Okay, it will ask you for email address. It will ask you a password. Okay, it will have you confirm password. It will ask you for an account name. Okay, it can be the similar of your email address. You can just you can say continue over here. Okay, then it will ask you, you know, the details, your shipping details, address details, and it will ask you for your debit card. It will not charge you. It will only deduct 1 rupee. Okay, and then refund it back, just to confirm it. One For tomorrow's lecture, I'll share you this thing for tomorrow's lecture better. Once you complete your lecture today, communication skills lecture today, just try to create it. If you have any difficulties, connect me through WhatsApp group,
Sir,
or
sir,
yeah,
I created this account, sir.
yeah,
It's up. I like according to your guidelines.
guys,
I have created. I have
guys,
created, sir.
yeah, so see, we are let's work as a team. So because see, AWS, it is like, it is all practice based. So like, someone created, right? So take the screenshots and share to the group. Okay, this is the procedure, so
that
others can, because we want to work together.
Yes, sir.
just a second,
Definitely, I'll do, sir. I'll do, sir.
just a second. Let me check.
And by tomorrow, I'm expecting everyone should create their free account. because without practice, there is no meaning of this class.
See, whatever I'm explaining, if you don't practice that, then it's a waste.
Like, hello, excuse me, sir.
Yeah.
Sorry for interrupting. Actually, now second session is timing 2:30.
2 minutes.
3:30.
2 minutes more. I will just close it out. Okay.
Yeah. Actually, we have only 5 minutes.
So yesterday I have sent this, right? Okay. These are the prerequisites that we will require an email ID and debit card. Okay. And and there is a link. I'll share that link again. I'll share that link again. Okay, on the WhatsApp group. So just today's assignment, you just create a free account, and tomorrow I'll explain. I'll give you a resource to practice it. I'll share this book with you. I'll share the link of the book with you today, but I'll explain you how to use the book. So I think so. We have to close it because we have another session. So thanks for your time. Let's meet up tomorrow, and be sure that you create a free account. And if you have any issues, connect me to WhatsApp group.
Sure, guys. Thanks a lot, Faiz sir. So, guys, please be regular for this class and just follow what Faiz sir is giving you assignment. Like I'm telling you, definitely within 3 weeks you will have another level of AWS. You can make your you can add into your resume. So please follow this. Don't take these classes very easily. Just spend the time and learn as much as you can. And ask the question. Faiz sir is there. He's open to answer all the questions, all the queries. Okay. Thank you.
You can connect me on WhatsApp group. Whatever queries you have, you can post over there. I'll answer to you. That's not an issue. Okay. Thanks, Naeem. So I'm closing for the day.
Thank you, sir.